Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TED Excellence, the show where we internally search for new ways to interpret biological reality because we're really, really bored, I guess. I don't know. And I come to you live from Crater Valley on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to Thursday. Transitionary Thursday, where we go from the middle of the week to the end of the week. Yay. The work week, at least. Hope you're all doing well on this beautiful Thursday evening. That is what it is, isn't it? Beautiful Thursday evening. I don't know. My brain's so rattled because of I've got month-end stuff I had to do today. So like spreadsheets and invoices and things. And then I got double booked today in streams. I was doing an interview with Gary Cassell, comic book artist, which you can find on my channel right now. And then I had to get ready for TEDx not too long after that, a little break in between. It just happened to be the case that everything kind of fell right on a Thursday. And here we are, rock us like a hurricane. But either way, I am glad to be here with you. And I hope you're glad to be here with me because, well, maybe you won't be after this one. I don't know. This one looks interesting, but we'll talk about the subject matter in a moment. First, who's joining me on this beautiful Thursday evening? Advocatus Diaboli, good evening. Mike R, good evening. Keeverdam, good evening to you. And thank you, Keeverdam, as always, for providing the links to the GoFundMes for our friends Moonshock, Natalie, Angela Ariaga, James Colley, and Rhonda. If you guys take a look at those when you have the opportunity, please donate if you are able. If you're not able to donate, that's fine. But if you can share those out on social media, that would as well be appreciated. So thank you ahead of time for that. And thank you, Keeverdam, as always, for providing those. Let's see. Who else is here? Noah Asensio, good evening. Da fuck asshole, good evening. Who else is here? Let's see. Zed the Snarky, good evening. Derek LaRue times 2. Over the course of the day. Thank you, Derek. Again, that's ridiculously generous of you. I don't know how else to express my appreciation for your support and generosity. Thank you again. Hope you're having a good Thursday evening, in addition to your previous afternoon, and hope you enjoy this show as the last one. Thank you, Derek, very much. Attorney Eris, good evening. Rib Rascal, good evening. Tall Person, good evening. Shell D, good evening. Kiro Soldier, good evening. Attack Alpaca, good evening. Ryan R, good evening. Ryan R, Mike R, you guys should join up. Start like the R family or like the R tribe. I don't know. Get a whole bunch of people in there who are there was something like that with the whole what was it over on Sinatra's channel? Yeah, or maybe it was Ghastly. Oh, they had like all this coast thing or something. Everybody had the same last name. I forget what it is now. Oh, my memory. Either way, Shadowclaw. And Shadowclaw, I just wanted to say I saw you on the interview stream. I just didn't have an opportunity to say hello to everybody, so appreciate you coming out for that. Urcale Di Stefano, good evening. Angelverse, good evening. Non-Vitae Rex, good evening. Who else is here? Anybody else? Anybody else? Oh, Rotten Corpse, good evening. Q Continuum, good evening. Big Dave 1066, good evening. The Blakester, good evening. Simon Willikins, good evening to you. Pissed Off Shih Tzu, good evening to you. Roger Reynolds, good evening. Who else is here? Shady Grin, good evening. Holy cats, everybody's here tonight. And Tyr Alexander, the Gentleman Lich, good evening. And good evening to anybody else that I missed or is lurking or is in the future. So tonight, a title that I just could not escape. Autogender. Disability, gender, and what you can do as allies. Autogender. Now, when I first saw the title, I didn't read the description, per usual. I thought to myself, doing my best spelling bee, sort of breakdown of the word that I'm being presented with, autism gender? Is autism a gender now or something? I don't know. I had never heard of this term before. I did not look it up. I am taking everything I'm going to learn about this term from our presentation tonight, which may in fact be a bad idea, but this is what we are. This is where we're at. This is how we do. So that's the preamble for that. Also, I have to say that because of all my scattered brainness and busyness today, I forgot. I know it's not. I never do so. I forgot to put out a poll to decide on tonight's bingo card, And so I made an executive decision earlier this afternoon. It's going to be bingo card A. A as in America. So bingo card links are in the description below. Click on the bingo card A link and get your bingo card ready to follow along. And let's find out if we get some bingos out of this. I think that's all the preamble I need. Also, a couple more hellos here. John Trioxin, good evening. Kenny on Cat Piss, good evening. And I think that's everybody I saw. Oh, Bishop, good evening to you. I think that's everyone. Again, if I missed you, I apologize. And hopefully I'll say some more hellos as time goes on. But with that, let's get going. Start off with a few seconds for a sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it. And then we will proceed.
Hi, everyone. I'm Yen.
Hi, Yen. Okay. Like Yennefer? Like out of The Witcher? Okay. You guys hear that okay? Let me know in the chat. Also, this clocks in at exactly the way that I trimmed the ends of it. 13 minutes. So your average TEDx length, as it were. Can't say anything about the girth, but we'll find out. Okay, 5x5 says Kiro Soldier. Sounds good, says Mike R. Good sounds says Q Continuum.
I'd like to open a window to my experience and demonstrate how you can change the world.
Open a window to your experience and how I can change the world? I mean, I guess I could go outside and like scuff my heel into the earth. I mean, I would be changing the world, technically.
I'd firstly like to say that on this planet, there are 8 billion genders.
Oh, okay. Well, this might be a record. I don't know. 13 seconds in, is 13 seconds in a record? It could be.
What the fuck are you talking about?
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Right?
Okay. Well, it's going to be one of those, I guess. You might be correct in saying that there are 8 billion individuals on the planet. You might say there's 8 billion individual identities on the planet. Yeah, that might be more accurate. 8 billion genders? Hi, Columba.
Each and every one of us has our own unique and beautiful gender identity.
There's 2 genders. There are 2 genders. There are 2 genders. There are 2 genders. Are they expressed in various ways? Sure, but there are 2 genders. Advocates for gender diaspora or whatever keep using that identity thing to try to qualify the difference, and it just it feels Trojan horse to me. Always has been. Thank you, Zed the Snarky. Home creature, maybe overestimating the number there. Yeah, just a bit, just a smidge, 8 billion is a smidge, and TC LaChance. Good evening. I always have to say LaChance with a little flair to it for some reason. I feel like I have to give that emphasis. It sounds like a very, very swashbuckling name, like Captain LaChance. I don't know. Just the way I am again. I guess it's just my gender expression.
For me, that's non-binary and autigender.
Non-binary and autigender. So you're neither of the actual genders, which makes no sense, and autogender. Okay, well, I'm here for the autogender. I mean, I might have to pick up a side of non-binary as a result, but I'm actually here for the main course of autogender. So tell me about autogender.
An autigender is the concept of being autistic and gender divergent, and those things forming a core part of what makes you who you are.
Okay, autistic and gender divergent. Well, if there's 8 billion genders on the planet, then every single person is gender divergent from everyone else. So that means that everyone with autism is autogender. Or have I misinterpreted the information I've been given so far?
Research tells us that autistic folks are more than 7 times more likely than our neurotypical peers to be trans and gender divergent.
Trans and gender divergent. Trans divergent is now for... Again, and I'm not being facetious here. My vocabulary, the poverty of my vocabulary when it comes to these things is vast. Vast. So if I stumble over certain terms trying to decipher them, it's only because I'm trying to understand, because I haven't heard most of this before.
I want to take you on an adventure.
Oh, wait a second. Okay. Okay. You know what? I've said this too many times now. I've had psychic moments. I've had psychic moments doing this show. I don't have a stinger for this. I apologize that I do not have a stinger for this. I need to make one. I do have the picture though. So if you'll just give me a moment, if nothing else, let me at least mark the occasion with the picture that I cooked up for this. Where did it go? There it is. All right. So I'll have to make a stinger now. I can't not. So imagine whatever musical cue you think is appropriate here, because I had another psychic moment. I made the thumbnail to this without any idea of the content of this talk. Any idea. I said gender adventures. And whoops, and where are we? We're about to have an adventure. So, okay, all right, psychic moment. Woo! I'll have to get like some theremin music or something to put in the background of that image. All right, take me on an adventure.
And open a conversation to my autigender world.
Your autigender world, okay.
Acceptance and love are essentials of life.
I suppose on Maslow's triangle kind of things, sure.
Nobody should have to put up with bigotry or hatred because of their autism or their gender.
You're correct. Those elements say nothing about a person's character.
Not ever.
You're correct. Simply having those elements to your makeup should not be reasons to hate someone.
Allies, and that's where many of you will come in. Allies are amazing in this space. A good ally demonstrates love, kindness, friendship, respect, support, and challenges bigotry and hatred wherever they find it.
Well, just to make a clarification here, simply being autistic or being a man or being a woman does not deserve to someone hatred in and of itself. However, those things also do not indemnify anyone from criticism of their character. Let's make sure we remember that notion here, okay? They are effectively non-determinative factors of someone's character, but they are not impenetrable shields against any questioning, criticism, or critical analysis. Okay, the three quas: questioning, criticism, critical analysis. That they're not the. I know they're not the same letter. I'm trying to make a thing here. The three quas: croissant, poisson, lait, poisson.
I came out as non-binary when I was 44 in 2018.
You're a woman. You are a woman. You are female. There's no such thing as non-binary. Makes absolutely no sense.
And I was diagnosed as autistic when I was 20.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out as non-binary gave me new name, new pronouns, and new identity.
Well, the new name, I suppose you can choose for yourself and file legally or otherwise. New pronouns, no. New identity, I mean, if you changed your name, then technically yes. But otherwise, everything else is just kind of internal.
I was a new person, but still the same person.
That doesn't make any sense, just like non-binary.
Coming out was an absolute liberation. I felt like dancing down the street.
I'm glad you feel good about it. It does me no harm for you to feel good about yourself, whatever your interpretation. The question is trying to pass it off as fact or logic to anybody else. That's where I'm kind of like,
every single day for at least 6 months.
Oh,
and
wow.
I wanted to tell everyone about my gender.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. But here's the thing. You did no work for this, whatever it is. I could go around telling people about my gender all day. Hey guys. I mean, hey folks with an X. I'm a man. Hey there, neighbor. I'm a man. Hey there, mailman Fred. I'm a man. Can you imagine any more shallow an introduction?
And actually, Autigender is a cause for joy and celebration. And
Okay, I'm sorry. I keep pausing because my brain keeps stumbling over this stuff one after the other. I have to let it run a little longer. I'm not that paranoid about YouTube, maybe just a little bit.
it is a cause for joy and celebration, and not just for me. It's a cause for joy because it's about embracing who you are and being proud in your identity, which are lovely things.
No, you're not proud about, well, okay, who you are has nothing to do with autism. Who you are has nothing to do with your gender. I don't know how many times I've made that. You could be a autistic female saint. You could be an autistic female serial killer. Those two elements do not define anything about who you are. You've lost the race before you've left the gate.
I see autism in a similar way. I don't see autism as a deficit or a disaster or a tragedy. I see it as a difference.
You're correct. That's it. That's it. It doesn't define anything one way or the other.
I see it as like a different culture.
Really? Okay.
So autistic folks have a different language, different customs, different identity, different history.
What? I'm getting an ethereal aneurysm with every statement.
I often feel like an autistic expatriate in the land of neurotypical.
Okay, all right. You know what? I'm going to go to the bingo card. I need to take a mental break from this for a second. Collectivize his own demographic by all means. All part of one culture. All right. Systemic or institutional? Not yet. Sales pitch for product or service? Not yet, necessarily. Childhood or family anecdote? Hasn't really talked about childhood yet. Talked about being diagnosed at 20 or 22 and then non-binary at 40 or 44. Not quite childhood. We might get there. Diversity, equity, and or inclusion. Not clear yet. Plays victim. We'll wait and see. Microaggressions or unconscious bias. We'll see. Privilege, not yet. Contradicts own point or argument. Not quite sure what the argument is yet. We'll see. Patriarchy, no. Weightless example. This whole thing might turn into a weightless example. We'll see. Economic disparity, no. Feminism, not yet. Marginalized or marginalization. I think it's implied, but we'll see. A list. No, not quite yet. White supremacy, no. Word salad. I'm giving word salad to the 8 billion genders at the top. I know it was a brief thing, but all the same. Self-vilification or wretchedness. I would be amazed if so, but we'll see. Argumentative non sequitur. Not quite yet. Attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase. Okay, well, here's my question, and this is one I don't have. It doesn't sound like our speaker invented the term autogender. Okay. Now, if she is the origin of the word, I'm happy to circle it. She hasn't given me anything in the presentation to tell me that yet, though, so I'm assuming she's referring to an existing term. So I don't think, unless she says something like something I like to call or something that I've given the name of, I'm a little hesitant. Mind reading assumes motives. Yes, of all other autistic people and how they think or feel or whatever. Benevolent condescension, not clear yet. Anecdote that probably never happened, haven't had any, and leaves out vital context. Not so as you'd notice so far. So far on the bingo card, remember this is bingo card A. A is in America. Collectivize his own demographic, free space, word salad, and mind reading assumes motives, along with a WTF circle around the card after 13 seconds. Here we go.
A stranger in a strange land, if you will.
You're very special.
And Autigender slots into that really neatly. I see Autigender as being like a state within the nation of autism.
Oh, you're special amongst special. Oh, okay.
So Autigender is a really lovely, positive thing.
I suppose if it makes you feel like you're special amongst the special, I can only assume that it is.
But sadly, not everyone agrees with me on that.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'll credit where credit is due. At least she's going to presumably give us some counterpoints to her own argument, but that would be good. That doesn't often happen in TEDx's.
There are people in this world who would hate me and people like me simply because we exist.
I don't hate you because you exist. I have a hard time hating most people, honestly. Again, unless you're a rampant criminal or something, I don't really hate anybody. Or unless you've done something like terrible to myself or some loved one of mine or something. But as so far as somebody on a TEDx stage giving their opinion on something, there's no hate here. Not in this instance, anyway.
Now, I'm going to talk today mostly about transphobic bigotry, but autistic folks also face ableist bigotry for being autistic.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
So hatred can take many forms. It can involve intentional misgendering, so using the wrong pronoun.
You're intentionally misgendering yourself. I mean, there's no such thing as non-binary. So you're intentionally misgendering yourself. And anybody else who says that they're non-binary. So are you committing a crime against yourself or against everybody else?
Intentional dead naming, so using the wrong name.
The wrong name. Okay, well, I guess it depends on how someone was originally introduced to you. I've told a story before about a friend of mine long ago who transitioned from male to female as far as presenting and names and everything else. It took a while for us to get used to it, but after a while we didn't care. And if somebody did make a mistake, nobody gave anybody any grief over it because, like, everybody's human.
Verbal abuse, exclusion, invalidation, and even physical violence.
Sure, people can be cruel to each other if they don't like or understand people for elements that are on the surface. Circling marginalization, because at least in spirit, that was just laid out to us. Also, Kiever Dam, 1 second here while I catch up to the chat. Thank you so much, Kiever Dam. Gender is like the Twin Towers. There used to be 2 of them. Now it's a touchy topic. I'll see myself out. Oh, Kiever Dam. It's true. It's true. Talking sense versus someone's conjured imagination about reality is kind of a tough thing sometimes, but here we are. Here we are.
I've experienced a range of bigotry and hatred over the years.
So have I. I had glasses when I was 6 years old in first grade. Boy, oh boy, just having glasses, 4 eyes, nerd, Poindexter. That's an old one. You guys hear Poindexter anymore? A whole bunch of words that if I were to say them on YouTube would probably get me in big trouble, so I'll just hold them back. You guys can think of how mean kids can be to somebody who's wearing glasses and a little smaller than the other kids and a bit more stoic, let's say, and not as rowdy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It happened to me too.
Ranging from amusing microaggressions to out-and-out hatred.
Oh, microaggressions actually said out loud. Circling microaggressions or unconscious bias circled on the board. Oh boy.
I will share a couple of the microaggressions because they're really funny.
They're funny? They can't be funny. They have to be damaging, psychologically scarring. They have to be nigh on social crimes. Oh, they're funny. Okay, well, it's your story. Now let's see. Are they going to be like on the playground? Did she already say something like that? Is this a childhood or family anecdote?
So the first one was the person who, in all seriousness, said to me, "You can't wear a skirt if you're non-binary." And I said, "Well, does that mean I can't wear pants either because they're gendered male? And if that's the case, well, no undies for me. They're very gendered." So Yen's just going nude, are they?
Boy, yeah. Golly gee, that's Hannah Gatsby level of humor. I'll give you that.
No one wants that, least of all me.
No comment.
The other one was the fellow on Facebook. Now, I have a very big Facebook following. It's
I imagine you do.
about a suburb, lots of people. And one of them, they're not all good, one of them said, this page is about autism, not gender.
Well, that's actually a pretty good point. I mean, if it is, and then it's not. So,
And I responded with, it's my page, I will post on it whatever I like.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like a part of some like separate Facebook group or something. Okay.
I will post about Spider-Man if I want to.
So those microaggressions, and I mean, she's not incorrect. Those are microaggressions. Those are things that she decided to interpret inherently as insults. Those are the top two you can come up with. Those are funny. I mean, it's funny because they're pointless, but okay.
The other one that got me is the invalidations. So the people who treat you like you or your identity don't exist.
In what way? Give me an example.
So I had somebody immediately after I came out to them, they said, oh no, but you're a real girl. It's like, no, that's the whole point, is that I'm not a real girl, I'm non-binary.
You are a real girl. As you stand there, as you exist in the world, you are a biological female. You can call yourself non-binary, you can call yourself Napoleon Bonaparte, you will remain a real girl. So that's a microaggression, or someone just correcting your, I'll be generous, say misapprehension about reality.
The other one is hatred, out and out hatred.
All right, so wait. Correcting you on a statement that is absolutely untrue is invalidating you. It's not affirming reality, it's invalidating. Okay, all right.
I had somebody who I thought was a friend message me out of the blue, and they said, I will not use your pronouns because she is the cat's mother. And Mr. Kitty, which is my beautiful black cat that passed away, Mr. Kitty died from a broken heart because of you.
Okay, lacking any other context and taking that, I don't know, is that an anecdote that never happened? But let's say, just for the sake of argument, it actually happened. Somebody said something like that. That's just cruel. That is just way cruel. Your cat died because, I mean, I guess it depends on the cause of death of the cat. It's not impossible. But still, it's like, I decided to change the way that I express myself, therefore I'm responsible for my cat's death. Yeah, okay. Whatever else our speaker might say, if that was actually said to her, that's not nice. That's not nice.
Yes, nice one. The other one is your common or garden internet troll.
Then why give them any power by quoting them? If it's your common or garden internet troll, it's somebody who's looking to get under your nerves. So you're just validating their entire existence by repeating what they've said and giving it any credibility whatsoever. But okay.
These folks are everywhere.
Yeah. People saying things that are there just to get a rise out of people or to get attention for themselves, though they are everywhere, aren't they?
When I first came out, I posted some video diaries on YouTube because I was so excited about my new identity.
I believe you.
The first two, really well received. Everyone loved them. It was a really nice thing. Lots of positive comments, likes, all of that.
And then I got criticized and I couldn't take it.
So I posted a third, expecting a similar response.
Well, welcome to the internet and reality where not everybody is going to agree with you on everything that you say. And also, if your motivation is just to get people's praise and positive attention, that might be something you'd probably should think about as far as what's actually driving you to take the actions that you're taking.
But no, this one was met with so much bigotry. It was almost as if every troll on the internet had descended upon my YouTube.
All right. Give me an example.
Now, the thing is, I know this. This is not something I wonder about or speculate about. I know that when the video of this talk is uploaded to YouTube.
She's about to have her own Karnak moment. She's thinking of me before I even got there, isn't she?
It will face bigotry and hatred.
Okay. So let's define bigotry for a second. Bigotry is hating someone because of their ideas, right? Hatred is just, well, hatred. And let me say it again. Disagreeing with or having questions about what our speaker says is not the same as bigotry, and it's not the same as hatred. I do not hate our speaker. I do not want to erase our speaker. I just have serious doubts thus far about the veracity of what our speaker is saying about how reality works. That's it. So if anybody needs to have any kind of clarification, there you go. Mr. Tickletrunk, thank you so much for the lovely, dancy, smiley Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat
Wowie,
Fox.
wow, wow.
Ooh, there's a ranting monkey Dogcat Fox. Thank you so much, Mr. Tickletrunk. I appreciate it. But yes, okay, before the video has even been published to the internet, we are preempting anything anybody might say in counter to our speaker's ideas as bigotry and hatred. Now, I guess if you already assume to know the minds of other people, which we've already had mind reading assumes motives on there, but I am going to circle plays victim. Because even before anybody had anything to say about her talk today, she was already getting ready to be criticized and call it bigotry and hatred.
I will face bigotry and hatred. TEDx Canberra will face bigotry and hatred.
I love TEDx Canberra. What are you talking about? I love all TEDx venues because ultimately they are producing TEDx talks. And here we are.
It's not okay. The hatred is not okay.
Well, if it's actual hatred, you're right. It's probably not okay. I mean, unless you're, I mean, I haven't seen the totality of this talk yet, so maybe you'll say something that's absolutely nutballs, but otherwise, you're right. Just hatred for the sake of hatred is not okay. I don't hate you. I just, thus far, strongly disagree with what you're talking about.
It hurts.
That is a you problem. You choose whether or not anything that you see, read, or hear otherwise about your ideas and things hurt you is a choice that you are making for yourself.
It makes me sad.
Well, again, you are responsible for your own emotions.
And it's dangerous.
The only dangerous word out there is muad'Dib, for it is a killing word. Okay. Otherwise, anything anybody says, sticks and stones.
So when I was researching for this talk, I kept coming up with a similar statistic, and it was really upsetting me.
Okay.
And the statistic was, and this is across many studies, the statistic was that
if it's going to be something in the neighborhood of, and I have to be careful here because of YouTube, and I don't know how it works anymore. If it's going to be in the neighborhood of someone subtracting themselves from the equation of life, or something similar to that, I can only imagine.
40% of transgender folks have attempted suicide.
I knew it. Oh, and I don't have a stinger for it. But I knew it. Okay. Anyway.
That is not okay.
That is not caused by nasty comments or critical comments on the internet, unless someone, unfortunately and tragically, decides to internalize them and do something terrible to themselves of their own accord. So what is the point of this talk again?
And cisgender folks need to be aware of this.
Hey, cisgender folks also subtract themselves from the equation of life on a regular basis. What? Okay. I am aware from personal experience and elsewise that such events do happen. And what would you like me to do about it?
So what is cisgender, you ask?
It's another made-up term to divide and discriminate against people on the basis of what they are, and to elevate and deify other people on the basis of what they are. And it was a term made up by a very, very questionable individual in medical history, but that's a whole other story. That's what cisgendered is. But what's your definition?
Cisgender basically means not transgender.
So 95% of the population. Okay.
Somebody who identifies with a gender they were assigned at birth.
Gender is not assigned at birth. Gender is a medical biological fact. It's not assigned. It's not a doctor delivering a baby and then turning around, picking up a dart, throwing it at a blue and pink dartboard and seeing where it lands and just declaring that something out of the blue. It's not an arbitrary decision. It's biological reality.
And cis is a Latin word that basically means on the same side as.
Uh-huh.
So cisgender folks in the audience, I want you to imagine something.
Okay. I'm theater of the mind. I'm ready.
You've come up to me and you've said, "Oh, Yen, I'm really excited. I'm a man."
I would have to use my imagination at its absolute peak to think that that would be a scenario that could ever happen. You're correct. Okay. I'm a man. And
I say, "A man?
yes, a man."
Is that even a thing now?
Yes, it is a thing now. It's a thing now, the thing then, and a thing tomorrow. And if someone were to say that to me, I'd be like, yes.
A man? Oh, you know what that is? That's woke nonsense.
Wait. Is that my response to you asking the question if a man is a thing anymore, or is that your failed attempt at satire and criticism in response? I'm a little confused.
That is political correctness gone mad.
No, that's just biological reality on parade.
That's a sin, isn't it? Isn't that in the Bible that you're not meant to do that?
Well, admittedly, I'm not very religious.
It's not natural. You know what? It's a phase. You're confused. You'll get over it. You know what it is? Those militant cisgender lobbyists are coercing you into being something you're not.
Except that I am. I'm provably am. There's evidence for that. Me being a man. There's no evidence for you being non-binary. I don't know if you know that, but yeah.
They have a sinister agenda.
Okay. And I mean this in all sincerity. Where are we going? What is the point of this?
Could you imagine that if someone said those things about your gender, something as deeply held as your actual gender?
I mean, it's not deeply held. It's a fact. It's not like a belief system I have. I don't believe that I'm male. I am male. You know, I got nothing. I got nothing.
But for transgender folks, that happens every day.
It happens to people who promote very sketchy ideas about reality, and especially in regards to education and young people in particular. Confusing young people about reality is not a very popular idea. It doesn't really matter what the subject matter is. But okay, again, we're just over halfway through this, and I have no idea what the point of this is.
So despite the hatred, my autism and my gender are my favourite bits of who I am.
That's, and I mean this sincerely, that's really sad. That's really sad. right? Because I mean, my gender is just a fact of my life, right? It's just part of my makeup. But the things about who I am that are the favorite parts of me have nothing to do with my gender and everything to do with, my interests and my cognition and my little achievements that I've made over time. If you can believe it, I've never been a very confident public speaker. I really haven't been. I've gotten better at expressing myself on the air over the last several years. I've gotten used to the sound of my own voice over the years. But if I actually had to stand in front of a crowd and give a speech or give a TEDx talk, I'd probably crumble like a cheap suit, right? And so I have infinite respect, if for no other reason, for people that get up on a stage and do a TEDx talk in front of an auditorium full of people. I don't know that I could do that, right? So I appreciate the development that I've made in my self-expression, my vocabulary, my articulation, my sounding like I know what I'm talking about when I really don't. Really, just watch any of the interviews I've ever given, and or overseen, I should say. But the things I love about myself, and as narcissistic as I get, have nothing to do with my gender, or I'm trying to think of an analog to autism in my life, like I guess my anxiety disorder, but that's not, it's decidedly not the same thing, but I don't have something else in my life that I can sort of draw on inherently. I'm not proud of that. It's just something that I have to live with and operate within. But they don't define me, right? They don't define scribe light at all. They are not determinative factors of who I am. So if the two elements of yourself that you think are the best are things that say nothing about who you are, I got to say that's kind of sad.
I want a better world. I do. I want a world free from hatred. I want a world where people don't have to pretend to be something they're not.
I withhold comment.
To mask or to be in a closet. A world where people are comfortable with their autism and their gender identity, where hatred is a thing of the past.
Okay, well, I hate to tell you this. No pun intended, but I'll take it. Hatred will never go away. Okay, I mean, just as a concept, it's like murder or theft. These things will never go away. They are part of human nature. The question is how you, the individual, deal with it if you encounter it. Right. And of course, it takes all sorts of different forms, and the context really does matter when it comes up. But ultimately, in the examples that our speaker has given so far, it's been comments that people have passed along to her about things that she's said or videos that she's posted. And the best advice I can give to anybody about such things, doesn't matter what your gender, either or your autism status is, ignore it. Right? If it's anything other than constructive criticism, ignore it. It is words on a screen. And even if you decide to ignore constructive criticism, just do that too. It's words on a screen. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not easy. I mean, some people are much better at it than others. And I've had my own issues with it before because of my anxiety and everything else. The idea that someone's angry at me, or the idea that somebody has tried to dunk on me, or somebody legitimately calling me out on an error, and that part of me that's like, I don't want to eat crow, don't want to admit mistake, but then I have to because I'm an adult and I'm not going to be one of those people that doubles down on an error forever. Even if the person on the other side is being a smug jerk about it, sometimes you got to eat crow. But otherwise, let it go. Live your life. Be happy. Don't let other people's opinions turn into something that you decide to internalize into damage. Because all you're doing, and this is the lesson that we should have all learned on the playground, right? All you're doing in that instance is giving the bullies power. Whether they're legitimately criticizing you, if you want to interpret legitimate criticism or constructive criticism as bullying, that's your problem. But either way, you're the one that decides how much it affects you.
And acceptance is the norm. And I've seen things in my own life that demonstrate
No. Acceptance. Okay. Acceptance at least in the context that I'm getting from you, should not be the norm. Because again, if somebody tells me something or they are operating under a belief that is absolutely 100% observably false, demonstrably false, and they're trying to make me adhere to their worldview about something that is demonstrably false, I'm not going to accept it just because you say so. Okay? It's just not going to work that way. When I can see the evidence counter to what you're telling me, I'm not just going to turn my head and say, yep, I guess you're right. No. Because I think that's what you're aiming for. But at least for me, you're not going to get it.
And I've seen things in my own life that demonstrate that such a world is attainable. The first one relates to baked goods.
I'm withholding comment.
So my parents are extremely lovely people.
Okay, family anecdote, circling that one on the board. Circle that one, okay.
They're actually here today in the audience, so give them a little round of applause.
Yay.
There we go. Yes, lovely. Lovely. So my parents are beautiful and the best parents you could hope for. However, they are theologically conservative Christians.
Uh-oh! They're theologically conservative Christians. Okay, and I'm trying to think here for a second. What about anything that our speaker has said? Now, admittedly, I am not a theologian. I am not a religious scholar, but I'm trying to think for a second of anything that the speaker has said so far that would run immediately counter to well-founded religious belief. Because if I'm not mistaken, and somebody in the chat can correct me, angels are androgynous, correct? Okay. And does the Bible say anything about non-binary? I mean, I don't know. I don't know, or if there's been some sort of, modern reinterpretation of things. But okay, what is your parents? The pepper jack is making itself known. What about your parents' religious beliefs has to do with anything?
So you will understand that when I came out to them
as non-binary,
I was more than a little bit anxious.
Sure, I'll grant you that.
Shortly after I came out to my parents, I went and visited them because they live in Victoria.
I don't know the geography of Australia enough to know how far that is away from Canberra, so I'll assume it was a bit of a jaunt.
And my mum says, yeah, and I've got something I think you'll really like.
Is it a pantsuit?
And she goes into the kitchen and brings out a loaf of rainbow bread.
Okay.
I'm not talking fairy bread. I'm talking bread that's rainbow from the whole thing. And I was delighted. Well, of course I was. It's rainbow bread. Who wouldn't be?
No comment.
But what I really loved was what it meant.
Acceptance.
Because it demonstrated a deep level of acceptance
and
understanding. And that was beautiful.
Well, I mean, credit to your parents as best as they could. They were trying to let you know that they still love you, which is what parents ultimately should do, unless you're obviously doing something demonstrably destructive to yourself or to other people. But to each their own.
And if all the Christians in the world were like my parents, I'll tell you what, sign me up. I'm going to church, weird rituals and boring sermons notwithstanding.
But since not everyone agrees with you or the way that your parents think, then never mind. Okay. Again, I'm still... it must be the conservative part, because I'm not quite sure... Again, if somebody in the chat or otherwise knows of anything that our speaker's described of herself so far that runs directly counter to Christian belief systems. I mean, I realize anything that goes off the male female binary would probably cause problems somewhere in there, but I'm not quite sure what her parents' religious beliefs have to do with anything, because again, I'm not particularly devout in anything.
So all this religion got me having an epiphany. I love a good epiphany. This
Okay.
epiphany was about the concept of cisgender.
The concept of, why don't you go over the origins of that term again and who actually coined it?
So cis means on the same side as. So I thought about that. And I thought, well, if that's the case, surely the cisgender folks could be on the same side as the transgender folks, wouldn't
This. Okay, I'll bite. What do you mean on the same side?
that be lovely? Could you imagine that? 8 billion of us all standing on the same side as one another in allyship and friendship. That
Well, friendship would be great, but I don't know what you mean on the same. What do you mean on the same side? Because here's the thing. Whether you're, and I'm going to use the terms because they exist, and unfortunately, it's just, whether you are cisgender or transgender, neither of those two states of being say anything about who you are. This seems to be the constant refrain. Somehow, whether we're talking about somebody decrying color blindness, because if you don't see color, then you don't see me. I've heard that many, many, many times. In this instance, we're saying, oh, well, if you are this, but you're not that, then you can't be on the same side. The same side of what? What are you talking? What are you talking? What side? What are the sides? What do you mean?
Now, before I finish up, I want to do an exercise with you.
Is it jumping jacks?
Okay. So I want you to imagine you're autigender.
Imagine I am autigender. I feel like that'd be some kind of like cultural appropriation if I even attempted the feat.
If you are autigender, you don't need to.
I suppose that is true. If I am a thing, I don't need to imagine being something. Okay.
But if you're not, and I suspect that most of you probably are not,
you're more than correct.
Then if you could just imagine you are.
Okay. Abracadabra, I imagine that I am. Okay.
Now you're looking for a new friend.
I'm looking for a new friend. I don't know. Is Backpage.com still up?
And so you're making a list.
And checking it twice? Gonna find out who's naughty and nice? Guess which column I'm going for.
A list of attributes that you want in a new friend.
A list of attributes I want in a new friend. See, I've made friends with people that I never would have expected. Like years and years ago, I had a best friend who he asked me one time. This is like after 6 months of hanging out and everything. He asked me one time. He says, "I don't understand why you're friends with me. I really don't." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, I mean, we're completely on the opposite sides of things." And I said, "Well, I don't judge my friends on what they're interested in. I judge their friends on who they are. You know, of course, unless what they're interested in is like meth labs or something. I mean, that's different, but you know what I mean. So I don't have a list of what qualifies someone to be my friend. You know, it's just a vibe you have. So I don't know. Making a list about what I'm looking for in a friend. I guess if I had to want some basic elements, it'd be like honesty and loyalty. Outside of that, I'm not quite sure what I'd put on such a list.
So what do you reckon you're going to pick?
Honesty and loyalty.
I reckon you'd probably want a transgender one.
What was I saying before about non-determinative factors of someone's character? Yeah, what did I say? Honesty and loyalty. Right? Reflections of someone's character.
That sort of makes sense, doesn't it? You probably want an autistic one or someone who's otherwise neurodivergent.
Again, none of these things are elements of someone's character. They are not markers of anything that anyone is as a who they are. It says nothing about who they are.
And I reckon you probably want someone of marginalised sexuality, so asexual, bisexual, lesbian, gay, whatever.
I don't even know if I can express any further how ridiculous this line of thinking is.
And you probably don't want a Christian, given the history there.
Okay, all right. You know what? I'm going to extend the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to extend the benefit of the doubt to say that she's listing all these things off, and she's going to say at the very end, that's wrong. Right? This is all sort of a kind of weird gotcha moment. Imagine you're autogender. Now, assuming that I know what your prejudices are about autogender, before I have any idea what your prejudices are, if you have any at all, because this is a brand new term, I'm going to tell the audience what I, the speaker, assume you, the person on the outside of all this, would assume yourself to list as elements you'd want in a friend. And then I'm going to give you a whole but gotcha and show you the error of the ways I assume that you are thinking by saying no. That a friend of an autogender person is like any other friend in your life. Does that make sense? That's where I think this is going. If it is where this is going, I'm throwing up the Karnak again.
Okay, so imagine you make a friend. I'm going to give your friend a name.
You see, and that was me extending the greatest benefit of the doubt in contrast to what she was saying and just common sense, right? That this is all a setup, that this is all sort of a gotcha moment kind of thing. I hope it is, because if that is really how our speaker thinks, if that's really what our speaker is advising or believes should be the case of people and how they assess their friendships, that's kind of sad.
Okay, so imagine you make a friend.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to give your friend a name.
Okay.
We're going to call your friend Lisbeth, okay?
Lisbeth. Okay, sure.
I remember that, Lisbeth.
Yeah, okay.
Now, Lisbeth, you think you might have made a mistake.
Why?
Because Lisbeth doesn't tick any of the boxes in your list.
Uh-huh.
Lisbeth is cisgender,
What?
heterosexual, neurotypical Christian.
Oh, no.
Have you made a big mistake?
Is she honest and loyal?
I ask. Well, actually, you haven't.
Oh, because?
Because Lisbeth, if we imagine this, Lisbeth is an amazing ally.
Okay. So you'll waive all the prerequisites of a friend as long as the person is in total agreement and support of you and your belief system about yourself. She's not a friend, mind you. Lisbeth is not a friend. She's a different class of relationship. She's kind of a little bit off to the side of a friend. She's an ally, right? She's someone that serves a very specific purpose as an individual, agreeing with me all the time about anything I have to say. Oh, my.
And friend. And
ally and friend. Wait a second. Why do you need to qualify the two? Why? It's a very interesting word choice. You see, a friend can be several things, but presumably, if I'm using the same definition as I think most people would, a friend is inherently an ally, but is not that's not a utility. Right? It's just a makeup of their loyalty and support of you being your friend. And here's the thing, a friend, a good friend, oftentimes will critique you and tell you when you're screwing up and tell you when you're doing something bad. You know, they'll cheer on your achievements, but also warn against potential failings. You know, comfort you when you screw up, but also remind you that you screwed up. See, I guess that's the difference between a friend and just an ally. But you qualified the two. So if she's an ally, but also a friend, then she's not just an ally. At least that's how I see things.
Imagine this. Liz Birch is an amazing ally and friend. And Liz Birch never misgenders you, never dead names you. And if anyone does, she pulls them up on it.
Right. Yeah. Lisbeth is going to stand up for you, treat you like a child who can't speak up for yourself, is going to nanny you and see to your every emotional comfort round the clock. Is that a friend or a caretaker?
She is a close friend.
Is she, though?
Like no other.
She serves a utility. She defends your perception of reality from anybody who might make you feel sad. That's what you've described there.
It's incredible. Sounds a bit far-fetched, though, doesn't it? I'm being a bit silly. Yeah?
In this day and age, it does not sound far-fetched. There are lots and lots and lots and lots of people who do that same thing, white knighting anybody and everybody they feel is in a weaker position to make themselves feel all strong and powerful and enlightened. It happens every day, all the time. It's called Twitter.
Jensky's being a bit silly, but bear with me. I want you to imagine that Lisbeth's in this audience.
Okay, Lisbeth is in this audience.
Maybe Lisbeth's the person up the back in the white.
Yeah, maybe she is.
Maybe Lisbeth's the person on the front row there with the blonde hair.
Maybe she is.
Maybe Lisbeth's sitting next to you.
Maybe Lisbeth's hanging from the ceiling by her toes. Okay.
You know what? Maybe you're Lisbeth.
Oh, what has happened to me?
But it's all hypothetical. It's just silliness, isn't it?
You're many a truth is said in jest.
Person couldn't exist. Well, I've been a bit leading you down the garden path.
Oh, okay.
A little bit misleading. I've
Oh my gosh. Where has your cleverness brought us?
been telling fibs. I'm autistic. We're not supposed to do that, but
wait, people with autism are not supposed to tell fibs? What? So was George Washington autistic then or something?
have been, because Lisbeth is not a figment of our collective imaginations.
Collective?
She is not someone I invented to prove a point. Lisbeth is a real human being, and she is in the audience today.
Oh my gosh. So there's someone in the audience who is completely subservient to your worldview and your emotional fragility. Okay, wonderful.
And I'm not going to point her out because I think I've probably embarrassed her enough.
I mean, in so many ways, I think you may have.
But Lisbeth demonstrates that we can all be effective allies.
Yes, if we all abandon our critical thinking skills, if we all surrender ourselves to the individual worldviews and illogical and ethereal declarations of people trying to make themselves feel more special than the next special person, and then call you a bigot or a hater if you say anything contrary to their declarations about non-reality, then yes, if we all did that, we could all be very, very good allies.
And we can all make a difference. And
oh, yes, a big difference.
for you, the thing I'll leave you with is the idea is I'm an expatriate in your country.
If you're an expatriate in my country,
Please be an explorer in mine.
I don't have any reason or motivation to each their own. I guess I have a little bit of a libertarian bent when it comes to this. It's like that your life is none of my business unless or until you make it my business. You do you. But you're on a TEDx stage and this is what I do. So this is as much of an intersection between your life and your perspective and me that will probably ever occur.
Lisbeth demonstrates that idea of an explorer in my country, my nation.
An explorer. It sounds like blind obedience to me.
Of Autigender. And you can all do that.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you so much. Thank you for listening to my talk.
Sure.
I hope you liked it. I've really enjoyed giving it. It was quite a highlight.
Yeah.
But thank you as well, because I know when you leave here today.
I'll be a better ally than when I came in.
You will take what I say with you and you will want to be on the same side as Autigender folks, and you will start that journey and it will be a lovely thing. So thank you.
Okay. Well, there you go. Never, at least as far as I can recall and everything else, never got a definition for what Autigender is supposed to mean. Never. It just is. If you're autistic, then you have a separate gender from everything else, except it's non-binary, which isn't a gender, and it's one that it's a term that I've heard of all the time. So anyway, that all being said, let's move on to the bingo card and take a look. Remember, this is bingo card A as in America. And I'll shrink it down just a smidge there so it appears. There we go. Okay, save that, refresh this. And this is where we're at right now. I'm going to go over the bingo card one more time by myself. If you have any arguments for squares to be circled, please hold on to them. I'll get to you momentarily. Systemic institutional. Not that I noticed. Sales pitch for product or service. No. I mean, she was trying to pitch an idea, but there wasn't like a book or an organization or anything else that was brought up. So I don't think so. Diversity, equity, and or inclusion. I mean, technically, yes, because 8 billion genders, all the acceptance, allyship, and so on. Allyship you hear a lot in DEI talks and spiels and advocacy. So yeah, I mean, and it's not a bingo square, at least not yet. So I'm fine with that. Privilege. I'm sure there's an argument that could be made, and I'm happy to entertain them, but I don't think she ever said the word, as far as I know. Contradicts own point or argument. What was the argument? Everybody should be nicer to people, but explicitly accept my version of reality. That was the point, I guess. I don't know. My head is clouded. I don't know if it's the pepper jack or the content or combination. I don't know. Patriarchy. Well, I mean, she brought up the male thing a lot, but it wasn't really part of the argument to say the world was run by men specifically. So I'm not sure about that one. Weightless example. I mean, just about everything. Especially the definition of a friend. Like, what was this about? Like, nothing gave me an answer as to why we were here, what the point is, or what the definition of Autigender is supposed to be. What is that supposed to mean? And it was never told. Economic disparity. I don't think she ever brought up economics or anything. No. Feminism. Well, can't be feminism because non-binary. So, yeah. A list. She did give us a list, literally a list of the friendship traits. The friendship traits that I was pretty sure she was going to come back and say, aha, but you'd be wrong because people with Autigender have friends from all over the place, and that's just your bigotry showing, or something like that. That's what I was assuming was going to happen. Didn't happen. So my Karnak moment didn't happen. White supremacy. She never talked about race, actually. Self-vilification or wretchedness. No. Argumentative non sequitur. Oh God. I mean, there feels like there was a lot of things. Can I pin down at least one example? I mean, I put up a couple of WTFs. I don't know. My brain is all over the place. You guys tell me. Attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase. Again, I don't believe that autogender was originated by our speaker. I have a distinct feeling that this was a this had to be a product of something like Tumblr, or maybe there's some quasi-scientific paper on it from years and years ago that somebody coined. I don't know. This doesn't feel like something that she came up with on her own. Benevolent condescension. Yes. Allyship. Everybody be good allies. Right? Lisbeth is a good ally and a friend. Yeah, a little bit. Anecdote that probably never happened. The only anecdote she gave us were the comments on Facebook and or the internet in general terms, and nothing about those sounded unbelievable. Outside of that, yeah, I don't know. Was there an anecdote that didn't happen? And lastly, leaves out vital context. Yes, a definition of autogender. Like something more than I am autistic, but also a biological human. That doesn't tell me anything. Unless autogender is just a synonym for non-binary, which means it means nothing, which is entirely possible as well. But anyway, that's where I have the card at the present. We're not at any bingos yet, but we're close. If you have any arguments for squares to be circled, please put them in the chat now. The chap now. Chappy? Am I going all Iron Eagle or something? No, put them in the chat now. Hey, Pepperjack. And I will entertain your arguments. All right. So, Advocast Diaboli, her lack of acceptance of anything other than what she thinks you should think seems to contradict her entire message of acceptance. You are correct. Yeah, it's my way or the highway. Agree with everything that I say. Don't question it. And by the way, acceptance should rule the day in the world. You're right. You're correct. Let's see. What else do we have? Attorney Eris. Would the comment about 8 billion genders be an argumentative non sequitur since it was thrown out but never revisited? Yes. I think that's probably good. Yeah. I agree with that. That kind of came up, went nowhere. True enough. All right. Let's see. Who else? Shadowclaw. All the gender stuff started on Tumblr, then they escaped. Yeah, it sounded like a Tumblrism. It sounded like something that Mr. Medicare would have done a video on, or sorry, the Internet Aristocrat would have done a video on years and years ago if he'd been aware of the term. And if you don't know about Tumblrisms, you can find the entire series of Tumblrisms on YouTube and the Internet Archive. And I highly recommend watching the series because it's still relevant today, and given how old it was amazingly prescient for what we're encountering on a regular basis these days. Tier Alexander, the gentleman lit. Self-vilification. Autists like her aren't supposed to tell fibs so that she knows she is lying. Yeah. I mean, that was kind of a joke, though. I don't know if that's self-vilification or wretchedness as part of the presentation classically means I am making the fact that I am what I am, or the way that I behave as I behave, is an example in either support or in argument against or support of my deal. So like the generic example is I'm going up on a TEDx stage and I'm talking about white privilege. And in the course of my presentation, I say, now, obviously, as a white straight male, I possess white privilege. So I know the damage that I do. I now know the damage that I do to people simply for existing. If that was my pitch, in such a presentation, that would be self-vilification or wretchedness. One little weird joke, and I know I'm going off on this, but I just want to make sure I'm clear on that. So, I mean, if you've got an argument that rises to that level as an element of the presentation, so be it, and give it to me. But that's kind of what I'm looking for. It has to be something where they come out and confess some sort of flaw or sin that contributes to their presentation in a substantive irate bear way. So that's my argument there. And I know it's also a bingo square, so the bar is higher. Let's see. Sorry, I got distracted by a sound off to the side there for a second. Anytime I hear anything in my apartment now that sounds anomalous, I get all like a little like barky dog looking around. It's something like they just suddenly noticed a ghost. Because given the little disasters I've had with plumbing in this apartment over the last year or so, I'm a little cagey. I think I've gotten some kind of like PTSD as a result of it. Anyway, on to other comments or arguments. Let me scroll down a bit. And by the way, if I missed your argument or comment, please just repost it. Let's see. Da fuck asshole. She was speaking in general of societal norms. That would be systemic. Cis/trans. Oh. That or institutional. Institutional religious beliefs. No, you know what? I accept that. That's good. Yeah, I like that. All right. Fair enough. Square has been circled. Let's see. Q continuum. Any anecdote that probably never happened. Well, this is the thing. The anecdotes that she gave weren't quite detailed enough to feel like they were too perfect. You know, somebody trolling her on the internet, welcome to a day that ends in Y for most people, right? Doesn't really make a whole lot of difference there. That somebody said something that she decided to take as a microaggression. I can believe that happened. I'm not necessarily believing that it was a microaggression depending on the context, but yeah, I can believe that people have said things to her that she didn't like. Right? You shouldn't wear a skirt, you should only wear pants or something. That sounds like something you'd hear at elementary school, but she didn't come out as non-binary into her 40s. So I'm not quite, without a lot of context, I'm not quite sure how to evaluate that one. That one I'm not quite sure about. Let's see. And any other arguments, guys? Again, if I missed it, I'm gonna scroll up a little bit here. Shadowcat, the weaponization of Lisbeth's assumed cis-normative Christian privilege as an ally to bash others of the same class for not conforming to speaker's worldview. Which square are you aiming for? Because that's vilifying others. It's not necessarily self-vilification or wretchedness, unless I'm missing something there. Johnny Hellcat, attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase, what I call strategery. Yeah, I just got here. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Keeverdam, thank you so much. Does it count if she said the word list? Well, I circled the list because she gave a list literally of the things that would go into a friend for an autogender individual. So she actually did give us a checklist that she never countered later on, which was kind of odd. Like I said, I was expecting that to be a gotcha. It didn't turn into a gotcha, at least not the way that I anticipated, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, list is already circled. But thank you, Keeverdam. That's very generous of you. And guys, thank you again. Previously on the interview earlier today, Stoka, Brett Ide, Keeverdam, Derek LaRue, everybody who donated on the very, very generous today. Donations have been made in your stead on the basis of your generosity. Just wanted to remind of that for anybody else. Let's see. Advocast Diaboli. I got the impression she saw cisgender people as having privilege and being secure in themselves, and that was why she felt they should support her and be on her side. That's a good. No, I agree with that. Yeah, there was an implication that she was on the losing end, so to speak, or the argumentative end, where cisgender people didn't have to because they, agreed with their assigned gender at birth or whatever. So fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Any other arguments, guys? I'm going to give it another couple minutes here. I realize we are just on the cusp of a couple of bingo squares, but sometimes it just hashes out that things were not brought up, points were not hit, and the randomness of the bingo card just hits us right there. Really close in so many ways. Could be a miss. Let's see. Keeverdam, sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the screen. I'm still second shift. No, you're not dumb. You're not dumb, Keeverdam. You're fine. You're fine. And it was exactly what circled the square. You're fine. So nothing to apologize for. And I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate always helping out with the GoFundMe links and everything. Attorney Eris, I'm really wondering where the ire toward Christians came from when the Christians in this person's life all apparently were uber affirming for some reason. I don't know. I just, well, I mean, it depends on what your view of Christianity is on its face, right? Because truth be told, there are some Christian sects out there, SECTS, that are decidedly discriminatory and hateful of anything and anybody that falls outside their worldview, just like most religions that are orthodox or near to. So, yeah, but painting all Christians with the same brush when your own family and your best ally are Christians, you'd think you'd judge someone on their personal merits or something. But I guess you just have to say, well, that Christian's one of the good ones. I don't even know. Tony Gift, I want Scribe with his incredible understanding of the English language to do his own TEDx on the channel to try to make us believe a ridiculous argument and kind of be on his side. Tony, hold on. All right, you know what? I'm going to do something special. I'm going to, if you just give me a couple of minutes here, I realize I'm doing this on the fly, so to speak, but I'm going to do something a little special. I don't know that I've ever done this before, but I'm going to critique my own TEDx talk. Yes, if you'll just give me a moment, I have to capture it, as it were, but I'm going to critique, and I don't know if this will end up roboting me, so pardon me if it does. One moment, please. One moment. Let me bring it up here. Okay, so now that I've done that, and maybe I've roboted myself, I don't know. What we're going to do is put this here, and then, all right, well, guys, I think that's it for the bingo card. The bingo card has completed. Now we're going to stop the bingo card, but as an added bonus, because Tony Giff has inspired me, we're going to instead do, if this works, this. So TEDx part 2. Are you guys ready? Here we go. When I was a child, I lived in a house that had a large expanse of woods in the backyard. Oh boy, large banks of woods. What are you, some kind of lumberjack? Almost every nice day in the spring and the summer, I would spend some time back there using a stick to lop off the tops of blackberry stalks, or just pretend that I was looking for a good place to hide a body. Oh boy. But there was one particular spot in those woods where the trees cleared slightly, letting in a circle of light from above. Yes. And there in the middle was a nice patch of soft grass. Soft grass. And that was my spot. Yeah. My calming spot. My calming spot. Yes. My Zen place. The place where I went to feel at peace. Away from noise and people and distractions. Yes. I could just sit and listen to the sounds of nature and be at peace. Yes. Peace. But what I didn't know then, but that I understand now, is how my sense of peace was doing harm to others. How my feelings of tranquility were conditioning me to be a silent partner in a malicious system of inequity and injustice. I mean, think about it. When was the last time you really decided that you needed some peace and quiet? I mean, it's understandable. We live in a stressful, chaotic world. Yeah, I'm waiting to see if somehow YouTube decides to stop my live stream for live streaming my own content. That'd sort of be like copyright inception, copyception. Very few of us thrive on a constant diet of overstimulation, like work pressure, family drama, and just the day-to-day grind of having to breathe for a living. Yeah, it's the having to breathe for a living part that's the worst. But when you try to find your own spot in the woods of calm and quiet, all that you're doing is exercising your privilege to ignore the experiences of others who have never known peace. Should we do a blank bingo card on this one? I think we should do a blank bingo card on this. I've never actually done that with this, so hold on a second here. Let me blank out the bingo card real quick. So the bingo card is as it is. Let me reverse time on it a little bit, save it as a different file. Save as, okay, and then we're going to do that. All right, let's go over the bingo card. We'll collectivize its own demographic. Not quite yet. Systemic or institutional? Not quite yet. Childhood or family anecdote. There we go. Out in the woods in my favorite little spot. Privilege. Did that one. Circling that one. Got to circle free space. Got to circle free space. Okay. Let's keep going. Like being. Oh, hold on. Let me back up. Sorry. Let me back up a little bit. Spot in the woods of calm and quiet. All that you're doing is exercising your privilege to ignore the experiences of others who have never known peace, like Beanie Baby investors and the French. Self-vilification or wretchedness, you're correct. Self-vilification or wretchedness. Circling that one. So I want to talk to you today about how we, together, can work to defeat this malicious tranquility. Yes, malicious tranquility. Well, that's a new buzzword or buzz phrase, I think. Circling that one. All right. In ourselves and in others, so that we can all learn to be more empathetic to the real struggles people are going through every day, and not think that we have any right to avoid confronting those struggles ourselves. Yes. So there are 3 strategies that I would suggest to you will help resolve the selfishness of seeking peace. 3 strategies? Well, that's a list. Oh my gosh, a list. Circling that one right there. First off, you should cover the floor of your home with Lego blocks and stop wearing shoes or slippers when you're at home. I know it sounds harsh, but intentionally putting those painful obstacles in the way of your comfortable home life symbolizes the dangers and challenges that so many people have to navigate every single day. By taking away the comfort of movement in your own habitat, you'll begin to better empathize with those less fortunate than white people. Oh, I still crack me up sometimes. Secondly, replace your bed sheets with burlap. Because you see, your comfort, even in sleep, is an extension of the luxury you enjoy that so many others cannot. And after you've put yourself into a resting world of discomfort, you'll better understand the plight of others when you wake up every day, irritated and weary, just like they do. Benevolent condescension. Yes, that's also true. Yeah. You need to do this to be a better person. Just saying. All right, circling benevolent condescension. Okay. And thirdly, stop bathing. Stop using deodorant products. Because as you gradually acclimate to the true nature of living in an unjust world and stop noticing the odors that your colonized body produces, the reactions you receive from others, how they reflexively avoid you, reel away from you, and even begin retching just because you're around, that is when you might begin to understand an inkling of what life is like for everyone else. So if you follow these strategies, as I've described, and you really look inwardly at the damage that avoiding the chaos and disorder of the world is doing to others and to yourself, we can all get a little closer to equality. Ah, equality. Oh, wait, equality's not on the bingo card anymore. That's equity. My bad. Okay. We can all get a little closer to defeating this malicious tranquility. Thank you. And there you go, my one and only TED Talk, self-generated TED Talk. Yes, there you go. Let me just end right there. So yes, there you go, Tony Giff. That was my attempt at a TEDx talk. I think I did okay. But you know, to each their own. Let me. What'd I do? No, I completely lost the bingo card. One second here. I will find it. I will bring it back. I need to find the right folder. I apologize. Where did it go? There it is. All right. Live television, everyone. Live television. I'm bringing you live television with all the mistakes and all the rough around the edges that I can possibly conjure. All right, here we go. There's the bingo card for my TEDx talk, such as it is. We'll go over it together, and then we will end the show. Okay, so first off, collectivize his own demographic. I did say white people at one point. I did say that, so I guess technically that's true. Systemic or institutional? Did I say systemic? I don't know if I said systemic. Sales pitch for product or service. Well, I wasn't quite pitching Beanie Babies. Oh, actually for Legos. Yes, I did say you should buy a bunch of Legos and throw them on the floor. So I think that counts as a sales pitch. Diversity, equity, or inclusion? Not really. Plays victim? No. Microaggressions or unconscious bias? Well, in the sense that I was attempting to simulate such through my advice and to experience it virtually through my my 3 tips. I think it contradicts own point or argument. I don't think I did. I think I was the rare individual that did not. Patriarchy? No. Weightless example? Weightless example? I don't know. Was there a weightless example? Economic disparity? No, I don't think so. Feminism? No. Marginalized or marginalization? Well, the implication of everybody else because of the list and experiencing what other people have to experience every day and their discomfort and so on. Yeah. White supremacy. No, everybody else who's more disadvantaged than white people. I think that's implied. I think it's at least implied. Yeah. A little bit of self-hatred there too. Word salad. No. There was no word salad. No. Everything made sense. Everything was very well constructed. If anybody's got an argument for word salad, I disagree with you. Argumentative non sequitur. No. And everything followed from the other. Everything made sense. There's nothing. Mind reading assumes motives. Those that have never known peace, like Beanie Baby collectors in the French. I'll admit that was a little bit mind reading. Anecdote that probably never happened. Well, you see, I'm a little biased here because in truth, there actually was a spot in the woods outside behind my house that was, a clearing and very peaceful. So as far as other anecdotes are concerned, I don't think there were any. And leaves out vital context. I mean, I didn't have a book to sell, but anyway, okay. So there's my thoughts on the card. Any other arguments for squares to be circled before we wrap things up? And Tony Giff says, brilliant. Well done, sir. Well, I only posted it for the positive feedback, sort of like our speaker. I expect and will humor no negative feedback. Let's see. Mike Art, you did say systemic, did I? Oh, okay. I don't even remember my own script. Okay, well, if I said systemic, then it is obviously so. So circling that one. All right. Moving on. Sales pitch for burlap sacks. Well, also for Legos, and I already circled sales pitch for product or service. So we're already there. Left out vital context. Some people use body wash and not soap. I didn't say soap. I showed a picture of soap. I said deodorant. But I never actually said the word soap. I said stop bathing, stop using deodorant. Ah, see? I still remember my script. Let's see. Attorney Eris, someday you should write one that would black out the board. Yeah, I suppose if my goal was to make a TEDx style talk that hit every note on the way down the tree, that would be a challenge. That would be a challenge. I don't know. I don't know if I could mentally allow myself to write down intentional word salad. That would be like, can I write down nonsense that feels like it fits but doesn't without reflexively wanting to go back and revise it? My English major reflexes just kicking in. Yeah, I don't know. Tier Alexander, plays victim, you think your piece is bad. But isn't that self-wretchedness? Is it, I don't know. Is that more self-wretchedness? I need some clarification on there. Picture of soap counts. Visual aids are part of the presentation. Oh man, do I apply the amount of serious evaluation of arguments to a fake TEDx? Do I? Well, no, because this is all just for fun. So, oh my gosh, Advocatus Diaboli, look what you have.
Bingo.
What? Bingo! Yeah!
Of course, of course.
There you go. We got a bingo. Woo! My talk got a bingo. Let's see. All right. I'll entertain any last minute arguments for squares to be circled. But then we are going to wrap things up because we're over time already. I try to keep things within about an hour and a half or so. I'm fine going over a little bit. But all right. Tier Alexander. Anecdote that never happened. His TEDx never happened. Oh, Tier. Oh, Tier. You know what? That's too good. That's too good not to do. All right. You got me. You got me. You saw it.
Bingo.
What?
Of course.
All right, guys. There we are. 2 bingos for a fake TEDx. No bingos for a real TEDx, but 2 WTFs. So I think that it more than makes up for whatever was lacking in the previous. But there you go. Well, everyone, that was surprisingly and unexpectedly entertaining, more so than I'd imagined. So thank you guys for that. Thank you, Tony Gift, for the inspiration to pull out my old red circle carpet talk. But with that, the show is going to draw to a close. So a couple things before we split. First and foremost, did you know that I have a Discord server? Well, it's true. I have a Discord server. And this time I actually prepared a link before I started the show. The link is now in the chat. If you'd like to join the Discord server, just click on that link. You'll find yourself on the landing channel called Say Hello. And in addition to saying hello, you just have to give the secret word. The secret word will tell me that you actually watched the stream and have thus earned the right, the privilege, the entitlement of joining the Discord server. Today's secret word is tranquility. Just say, hello, tranquility, and I'll know that you watched the show. Also, again, plug for previous stream today, my interview with, I always almost say Jerry, it's Gary Kissel, comic book artist and creator, and his project Vindicated Incorporated, independent comic book production in the vein of The Punisher, which is what attracted me to it in the first place, plus his explanations of his inspirations and motivations for it in the course of the interview. If I hadn't already been sold on the idea, it sold me even more, so check that out when you have the opportunity. And then, coming up this Sunday, the Sunday stream at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, where I'll talk about a thing. I have no idea what it'll be yet. I've been so busy the last few days with work stuff and other stuff and getting things ready for the interview and all over the place. I have no idea. Whatever subject will pop into my mind between now and Sunday, I will let you know on Sunday morning. But with that, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well behaved. you have very, very little to do. Everybody who donated, especially today, as with always, I mean, whether it's $1 or more or whatever, I am always flattered by your guys' support and generosity, whether you donated to me or to the GoFundMe's pinned to the top of the chat box. Thank you guys so much. Very, very much appreciated. And I will do my best to pay it forward as best as I can. I think, is that everything? I think that's everything. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the show. Let me know with a like or a comment below, and share this stuff out if you kind of like it. I'd appreciate it if you did, because you guys are the best algorithm. With that, hope you have a good rest of your Thursday. Hope you have a good Friday ahead of you, weekend as well. I hope you're all safe and well. If you are not well, please do get well soon, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.